A few years ago, I was out to dinner with a few friends of mine. And let me just preface by saying, I think very highly of all these people and have nothing but good things to say about these friends. Now, this was well after the C19 jabs had been rolled out, because one of my friends in the group had had 3 doses of it and had recently recovered from a breakthrough infection. To which I jokingly asked him, did he take ivermectin for the symptoms? And another person in our group strongly replied, okay, Joe Rogan, because the FDA had denounced Joe Rogan and this horse dewormer, saying that we're not horses or cows. And these sort of statements resulted in physicians who had been prescribing it to sue the FDA, asserting that it interfered with their ability to practice medicine, with the doctors alleging that their reputations were harmed, that they lost admitting privileges, and even positions at the hospital were lost, which was originally dismissed, invoking the FDA's sovereign immunity, a legal doctrine that protects them from being sued if they fail to do their job. However, a court of appeals revived that case, saying that the FDA can only inform, announce, and apprise, but cannot endorse, denounce, or advise. And in 2024, the court ultimately ruled in the doctor's favor, with the FDA agreeing to remove all posts warning against the use of that drug. Although, as of this week, this post on X is still up, saying while it's FDA approved for certain uses in humans, the C19 is not one of those, even though there were multiple countries in which the use of ivermectin was linked to a reduction of cases. One notable example is in 2020, when the Peruvian Ministry of Health approved treatment of ivermectin for the C19 virus, during which period there was a 14-fold reduction in excess deaths, followed by a 13-fold increase after it was restricted. And the state of Uttar Pradesh in India's government said they used it to keep positivity rates low. And there are other countries to cite, all of which should be taken with a grain of salt, including the things that I say. But it's worth asking yourself, why would these doctors be risking legal ramifications as well as putting their own patients' lives at stake just to push a political agenda? I mean, they're not mouthpieces of the government, similar to these media talking heads. A prime example of that being former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo.
The reason has to be, part of the reason that you're seeing what you're seeing in Florida is because of vaccine hesitancy. And an aspect of vaccine hesitancy is politics, especially in your state. Don't Fauci, Florida. We all know that was about. Do you feel responsible for spreading a message where I'm not going to take it because I don't care what Biden wants? Byron Donald's not going to take it because he doesn't care what Biden wants. You think that's a good message for people to hear?
Well, the first thing is my message was never about Joe Biden. The message is about me and my own personal health.
I'm not getting vaccinated because I don't want to. Hold on, no. I want to read your words. I want to read your words. Byron, I know you don't get to cut me off. It's my show. But just listen. It has nothing to do with what Joe Biden wants. It has nothing to do with what Joe Biden wants.
A reporter asked me on a news show, and I said it has nothing to do with what he wants. I chose not to get vaccinated because I chose not to get vaccinated. I already had COVID-19 once. I'm 42 years old. I'm in very good health. I actually get checkups regularly and do all those things. That's a personal decision for myself. Members of my family, my wife, my 3 kids, they've all had COVID. They're not getting vaccinated. They're all healthy. That is a decision they've chosen to make.
You ask your doctor?
For everybody to understand is this. Hold on. Here's the key thing you need to understand. If people in the United States are concerned about contracting and being hospitalized and dying, of course, from COVID-19, please go get vaccinated. I will never tell you not to get vaccinated. What I'm saying is I made a decision not to get vaccinated. And it doesn't matter if it's you or Joe Biden or anybody else that's going to stress or want me to get it. I'm not doing it because I made that decision.
Right. Freedom isn't just defined as the bold and ability to be strong and wrong. It's about doing the right thing, the best thing. You say if people are worried about getting sick or dying, then they should get vaccinated. What about if people are worried about giving COVID-19 or a variant to others, which you very well could do? You could be doing it right now and not know. Doesn't that matter?
But you just said that people who have actually gotten vaccinated and may have picked up the variant, that the actual symptoms are very, very mild, if any exist at all. There's a member of Congress just came back. He tested positive, and he actually had been vaccinated earlier this year.
That's why
he's back
it's
and he's
not
fine.
severe.
Talked to him earlier today.
Because he was vaccinated. Because he was vaccinated, Byron. You just made my point.
But you're making
that is the point.
You make the wrong point.
What is
you are making the point that everybody has to get vaccinated in order to protect everybody. What I am saying is that if Americans want to get vaccinated, if they want to be protected from from COVID-19, whether it's the Delta variant or the new Lambda variant that's coming through our southern border as we speak. If you want to get protected from that, go get the vaccine. I fully promote you doing that. But at the same time, if there are Americans who don't want to get it, they shouldn't be forced to do so.
Nobody, but see, that's the thing. It's a false choice. This isn't about you won't force
It's
me.
not a false choice. That's actually
the
accurate choice, Chris.
It's not an accurate choice.
It's not
Nobody's
false.
forcing anybody. You're trying to push it to where people have to be forced.
And you're the one that's pushing it, not me. I'm not trying to
There's
push
no
it.
question that you're not pushing the vaccine. Everybody should know that about you, Byron Donald. You are not telling people to get vaccinated. You are not pushing it. You are not saying it's the right choice. You're saying you're not doing it and your family's not doing it, and you're leaving out of the equation that you can make other people sick, as if that doesn't matter. Okay?
Chris, did you not just hear my answer 30 seconds ago where I said if you want to be protected from these variants and the original strain, please go get vaccinated? I promote you to do that. I just told you live on your own show that if you want to get vaccinated in America, go do it. But if there are Americans like myself who choose not to, please don't berate me for doing that. It is a personal choice I have made with my own healthcare. No, I am allowed to do that. I'm entitled to do
Byron,
that.
you're absolutely
Now, the whole interview was him putting words in Byron Donald's mouth, with Byron simply saying, by all means, do it if you'd like, but don't force it on me. And you get the point. But beside that, Cuomo also enjoyed shaming people with Don Lemonhead.
People who are injecting drugs for animals and horse.
and people telling them to.
Oh my God.
What person? You know, you talk about cancel culture and who to shame. Ivermectin, a dewormer. Really?
They are shaming themselves. No one has to shame them. They're shaming themselves.
No, they need to be shamed.
Yeah.
They need to be called out and shamed, brother.
Well, this past week, Chris Cuomo appeared to be taking a U-turn on his earlier rhetoric.
I do have what they call long COVID. Now, I say they call because the government, it's funny, after that clip, I got called by government people bitching at me because I said that the vaccine wasn't perfect. So that's where we were then. That's where we were then. But they say, hey, Chris, easy on the long COVID. We don't know that it's a thing. We don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. It could be other things, autoimmune. So I'm saying my doctors say I have long COVID. I have the symptoms. They showed me my blood work, scared the bejesus out of me to see this glowing micro clot stuff that they see in my blood. That it really shook me up. So I'm doing all the protocols. The vaccine is a really important conversation that's being ignored. I do not fault myself for telling people at the time what the government was giving us as best practices. People say, but your job is to question. On what basis? The basis of questioning early on was because I say so.
I mean, I do agree that we didn't have all the information in the beginning and that we just had to be okay with what we had for some time. So in that regard, I do grant some grace. But what about Chris Cuomo shaming people like Byron for exercising their autonomy? I mean, that should be acceptable under no circumstances. But proceed.
I'll tell you something else that's going to get you a lot of hits. I am taking a, what do they call it? Like a regular dose, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is
Okay, pause it right here. I mean, they probably knew that there were studies out there that were supporting the positive effects of it, but instead of paying it any credence, they called it horse goo and belittled people, called people kooks. Case in point, Joe Rogan, who was public enemy number one for a little bit. So yes, it does matter, but go off, King.
The idea that, well, you were a vaccine proponent. Why wouldn't I have been a vaccine proponent? Now there are questions. Oh, no, but I knew at the time. No, you didn't. What you knew was that there were people telling you to be resistant to what the government was telling you to do. That's fine. But I think for Byron Donalds and for other leaders, that's not the standard. The standard is what is the basis of you telling people it's okay if you don't take it? And I felt that he didn't have a good basis. It was, well, I'm playing politics.
Okay, pause it again. I mean, if he listened at all to Byron Donalds, it's that he never discouraged people from taking it at all. The reason he didn't take it himself was because of his own personal appraisal of his health needs. And I do believe that there were people on both sides of the political aisle, left and right, who made the decision for political reasons. But I don't think Chris Cuomo looks any better. I think that at least in part because of his own affiliations with CNN, he also did it for those same reasons. But go on.
I think the only thing I've ever seen Trump booed for by his base is what? I think you should take the vaccine. But nobody judges Trump for it, interestingly.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, no, I fully agree with you there. And I think that there's a part of Trump's base that goes to RFK because of him saying that. So I think that's the part that team needs to be careful every time they brag about vaccine, because RFK wins every time he does that.
Right. And you know what RFK says? When you say to him, are you anti the vaccine?
He says no.
No.
Yeah. But
nobody's chasing him.
However, I want to ask you a question. My challenge was the following. My challenge was, okay, vaccine's here, take it. I'm like, how much research have we done on the COVID vaccine? No, it's good. We're ready. Take it. I'm like, bro, I'm not ready to take it right now. I want to see a little bit more to see what's going to happen to people, right? Okay. So say 2026, COVID 2.0 shows up, okay, from another lab in China, whatever. They release it, okay? Because Trump's president and they're sick of it and they want him out ASAP. And it worked last time. Let's do it again. Okay.
Who's
and they
they?
release it. Whoever they is. Okay. Whoever they is. China, whoever we want to talk about, right? COVID comes out. Now we have 5 years, 5.5 years, almost 6 years of experiencing with vaccine. And we know the research and the results. You're working at wherever you're working at the time. Let's just say you're doing cable with Tunes Nation, okay?
I'm at VT, baby.
You're at VT,
What's
that's
up,
right?
baby?
But you're talking COVID vaccine 2026.
Yeah.
Would you be as staunch supporter of people taking a vaccine like you were in that clip with Byron?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because we know more now.
I agree.
And what has changed? They now know that they have questions to answer, which they are refusing to answer. But I know that there's enough to know that there should be a 9/11 commission style review of what happened during the pandemic, because we screwed up everything.
Yeah.
Everything was screwed up. Now people want to seize on the vaccine and they'll accuse me of word salad and not wanting to go back. I have no reason. I wish it were as simple as me saying, Pat, I was wrong. We have all these facts now about the vaccine that I should have been saying
Do you
at the
think
time.
you were spooked by your peers at CNN and your bosses?
I've never been spooked.
Nah, you were definitely spooked. Or you were just a coward. I mean, take a look in the mirror, dude. You're constantly placing the blame outward, instead of taking accountability for your own role and your complicitness in all of this. Because in his position, it was his job to analyze the evidence critically. But instead, he just peddled what the government was pushing. And Joe Rogan rightfully had a field day with Chris's admissions.
Chris Cuomo just came out and said he's got a vaccine injury. That guy was pushing that on TV forever.
Wait, what's a vaccine injury?
Something happens when you get the COVID shot, and it's not just the COVID shot. There's people have adverse reactions to all kinds of medications, right? But particularly to this is one that the first time they ever rolled something out to billions of people worldwide. And some people had terrible reactions. And one of them apparently was Chris Cuomo.
Interesting.
Yeah, people get heart palpitations, bad blood work, they get clots. Like there's a bunch of different confirmed side effects that happen. Myocarditis is some. Did you have a side effect?
Oh, I was sick as a dog.
Yeah.
Wife was fine. I was.
What did it do to you?
It felt like I got into a car wreck or something. I was just completely sore, really sick. I remember being crazy tired, just tired.
For how long?
Like 2 days.
That's not bad.
Yeah, then it bounced right back. But it felt like where it was like, oh man, Derek, you're sick. Like,
I think that's the normal reaction if it's working.
oh,
See, the problem is when you have a bad reaction. Your body reacts to it in a negative way. Like there's people that have had strokes and heart attacks, and people have died like right after the shot. And no one wants to attribute it to the shot, but a bunch of injuries they have attributed definitely directly to the shot. If they confirmed it when it's happened, they won't say it's zero.
Yeah.
They won't say it's zero. But the real question is like how many people? How many people are being honest about it? How many people are even telling people about it? Because even though they feel like shit after they got vaccinated, even though they have health problems, they told people to get vaccinated. It takes like this big moment of bravery to sort of just step out and admit, I got caught up in the madness of it all, and I didn't know what the I was talking about, and I was shaming people and telling people to do something.
yeah.
And he even went harder than that.
And this is about a medication that had been prescribed billions of times to human beings.
Yeah.
The FDA. You're not a horse. You're not a cow. Seriously, y'all. You're not a horse. You're not a cow. Seriously, y'all. Stop it. Why you should not go back? why you should not use ivermectin to treat or prevent COVID-19 from FDA.
Wow.
Just like, that is just propaganda, just full-on propaganda.
Yeah.
That's like saying penicillin is veterinary medicine, because they do use it in veterinary applications.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's for humans too, you idiot.
Yeah.
And has it been used for humans? Has it saved lives? Yes.
Yeah.
Has ivermectin won the Nobel Prize?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is penicillin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a human
Yeah.
medication that has one of the safest profiles of any medication known.
Yeah.
So they had to delete 140 social media posts
Wow.
that were disparaging ivermectin.
I didn't even know this.
And they just lost in court. The FBI did not admit to wrongdoing under the terms of the settlement. Oh, that's great. They don't have to admit they were wrong because they were wrong.
Yeah.
They don't have to admit it. We know you're wrong. Great. You don't have to admit it.
Right.
But doctors have always been allowed to use off-label medications, especially when shown to be effective.
Right.
And there's a ton of randomized controlled trials that shows ivermectin to be effective
Right.
for the treatment of COVID-19.
Right.
Including in entire Uttar Pradesh in India, where
yeah.
that's how they used it. They had
UP,
an
yeah.
incredible result.
Yeah.
Look, people have used it. They used it. But when I used it and I talked, I had no idea what can of worms I was opening up.
Yeah, they made you look like this.
Bro, they
fucking
changed my
skull.
color. They changed the color of my face, but to their own detriment.
And now people lost faith in.
Oh
in
my
CNN.
God! The COVID thing to them was one of the worst experiences in terms of public trust.
And I think that Joe Rogan was right to go off like that, because Chris Cuomo decided to be nothing more than a mouthpiece and a puppet for the government. And I do get it. I grant some grace, because to an extent, we did the best with what we had at the time. But still, what makes a lot of people rightfully angry, and evidently so, is when the government knowingly presented half-truths. And then they whined that people didn't want to follow the science. You misconstrued the science in a way to justify your overreach in power. But I think a lot of people know this. And at the end of the day, organizations like the CDC, the NIH, and the FDA could have saved a lot of credibility had they chosen to act with integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, hopefully I've earned a subscription. Here's some videos for you to watch in the meantime. Until next time, peace out.